Hello and welcome everyone. This will be a lecture for company law, CA Inter and CS Executive. So far we have completed up to section 105, which was consisting about proxy. In this chapter of meetings, one of the most important topic would be voting. And the voting provisions are contained in section 106 to section 110. This is the first part of the series of voting lectures that I am going to bring through. In this first part, we are going to study about section 106, which is about restrictions on voting. As a general rule of company law, every shareholder who has shares with voting rights is entitled to vote and attend in the meeting. But in this section 106, there are some restrictions which a company may levy on the member who has shares. So this is an exception to the general rule of company law, where an articles of association of a company can override the company law itself. Okay, so let's get started with this topic. Now, section 106, restriction on voting rights. If I bifurcate this into three parts, the first part would be what is the restriction that we are speaking about. The second part would be this restriction can be applied by the company only on which ground. And the third part is how can a member vote differently. Number one, what is the restriction? So if you see in the first box, what is the restriction? As I explained to you, if the articles of association provide that no member shall exercise his voting rights in respect of any shares registered in his name, which means article of association may provide that a member shall not have voting rights, shall not exercise his voting rights, even if he has shares with voting rights. What are the grounds of the same? The first ground is if the shares of the member have calls in arrears. That means an amount is due on calls on such shares, as well as if any sum is payable by the member to the company. In both these situations, the articles of association may put a restriction on the member to exercise his voting rights till he does not pay the amount which is due on calls or whatever sum is payable to the company. And the second point is, this is the first point, the second point is wherever the shares of the member for some reasons have been put on lien by the company, that means the company has exercised a right of lien on the shares. If there is some amount which is payable or some duty which is pending from the member, which he was supposed to do as per the contract or agreement between the company and the member, then in that case, to enforce performance, the company may exercise the right of lien on such shares. And if the company has exercised the right of lien on such shares, the owner is still the member, but the member will not have voting rights on such shares which are on lien. So there are two grounds that we have understood. I hope this is clear. The second point, the second box which I have put over here, speaks about section 106 subsection 2, that whether the company can apply this restriction to any other grounds also. The answer is no. Company shall prohibit any member from exercising his voting rights only and only on these two grounds which have been provided in section 106 subsection 1. And no other grounds will be sufficient for the company to prohibit any member from exercising his voting rights. So both these points are clear to you? I hope so. Now, the third point is section 106 subsection 3 says that a member entitled to vote differently. That means If there is a voting by poll, then a member entitled to more than one vote. Now we all know that one share is equal to one vote. Okay. So if a particular person has 1000 shares, then he would be having 1000 votes to give. Now this provision says that the member need not use all his votes in the same way. The member need not use all the votes in the same way. That means if there are 1000 votes that a particular member is having, he may give, he may split up his shares, split up his votes into say 600 votes in favor and 400 votes against. So this is what this particular provision is saying. There are a couple of more points or scenarios that I want to explain it to you. The first scenario is where the articles of a company do not contain. Articles of a company do not contain any provision restricting. See, if the articles of association has not provided, then in that case, the company cannot prohibit or exercise restriction on voting rights of the member, even if the member has some sum payable to the company or has a calls in arrear to the company or his shares have been put in lien by the company. Okay, the point number one is clear. Now point number two, where the articles of the company contain such provisions, if the articles of the company contain such provisions but the shares due to calls in arrears have been forfeited for non-payment of calls, and after forfeiture the shares have been reallotted. Now in this case, the new allottee of the shares is still liable to pay the balance unpaid amount on the shares, and hence till he does not pay the amount, he will not be entitled to vote. So over here we are speaking about the new allottee. Even though the reallotment has happened and a new allottee has been allotted the shares, still since the balance amount is still unpaid, the new allottee will have to first pay the balance unpaid amount and then only he will have a right to vote. Okay, so this point is also clear. Both the scenarios are important for examination point of view for case study purposes. Now, there are two examples which have been given in the ICAI module. We'll go through both the examples. The first example says, what happens in case of voting by joint shareholders? Suppose that Mr. and Mrs. Iyer are joint shareholders of Gold Private Limited and they hold 500 shares of the company. Regarding a particular special business being transacted at the extraordinary general meeting, Mr. Iyer is in favor and Mrs. Iyer is against the resolution. You have to decide how should the vote be casted in case of this situation. See, in case of joint shareholders, you have to understand that normally there is a first applicant and then there is a second applicant in case of joint shareholding. And similarly, in this order, the names of the joint shareholders appear in the register of members. So, the right to vote would be given to the joint shareholder whose name is placed in the first order. So the order of joint shareholding would determine who would be voting. In this case, if Mr. Iyer's name is in the first place in the order of the shareholding, then Mr. Iyer would be voting for the whole of 500 shares. Similarly, if Mrs. Iyer's name was there, then Mrs. Iyer would have voted for all of the 500 shares. So the first applicant or the first shareholder between the joint shareholders would be entitled to vote for the whole of the shares which is under the joint shareholding. Okay, you have understood this point. So let us look at the answer. Joint shareholders must concur in voting unless the articles provide to the contrary. The voting in case of joint shareholders is done in order of seniority, which is determined on the basis of order in which their names appear in the register of members or shareholders. So the joint shareholders have the right to instruct the company as to order in which their names are to appear in the register. So when the names is getting registered in the register of members, at that point of time, the joint shareholders may instruct the company as to whose name shall come first, and whosever name is first in the order will get these rights of voting on the whole of the shares. So I hope this concept of joint shareholders is clear. Now, example number 2 would speak about whether the directors who themselves are shareholders of the company can they vote in a particular meeting. The answer is yes, because shareholders are holding two positions. One is of a director, which is a fiduciary relationship with the company, and the other is as a common shareholder. As a common shareholder. As a common shareholder, he has a right to vote in the general meeting, and he need not be influenced by the fact that he is a director. Okay, so this example number 2 is answer is yes, the director can vote in this situation. Okay, so both the examples are clear. So I hope section 106 is extremely clear to all of you. This is the end of this particular lecture. So thanks a lot. If you find this video useful to you, please like and share the video and subscribe to the channel for many more videos of company law. Thanks a lot.